Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Hamza, and I'm the brackets category head, and this is an orientation for Miss Bowl judges. To start things off, the primary point of contact. For right now, going into missed weekend and on missed weekend, most of our communication is going to be through the Miss Bowl judges WhatsApp group, and I think all of you guys are on that right now. And then during the tournament, if you guys have any questions about Miss Bowl or the competition, you can contact Hassan. He's going to be one of the judges as well. He's going to be the Miss Bowl lead or head. Honestly, you can just contact him through the WhatsApp group, but I put his number down here just in case you want to contact him directly. And then lastly, if Hassan can't answer a question or you just want to contact me, you can also contact me in the WhatsApp group, or you can contact me through my phone number, which is listed right here. So for this year for Miss Bowl, there's 6 topics, and they are crime, justice, and the politics of mass incarcerations, lessons from the life and times of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, contemporary conflicts part 3, China, United States of America, lost Islamic history, Islam and environmental ethics, and current events. So just for some of the basics of Miss Bowl, each team is required to have at least 2 competitors with a maximum of 6 competitors. And in any time, so in any round, there's only allowed to be 4 people from each team actively competing. So the remaining 2 people will be on the bench or they'll be like on the side. And after a round is done, a team can substitute their team however they want to. Um, but there can only be 4 people competing at once, and they can compete. They can substitute in between rounds, and the idea is that since there's 6 topics, a team will ideally have 6 members. So each member will like learn one topic, and then before a round starts, the judges are required to announce which topics will be covered in that round, and then a team can organize their team accordingly. So um, on Saturday, there's going to be the preliminary rounds, and then on Sunday is going to be the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And so, as I said before, for the tournament layout, on Saturday there's going to be preliminary rounds, and then starting Sunday, the top 8 teams from the prelims are going to go to the quarterfinals. The top 4 teams from there are going to move on to the semifinals, and the top 2 teams from there are going to move on to the finals. And the bottom 2 teams of the semifinals will compete for third or fourth place. And so the way the tournament works is that the preliminary, quarterfinals, and semifinals games, those will be pretty much the same format. So the way those work is that in the in each of those games, there's gonna be 3 rounds in each of those. So, and in each round, there's gonna be 14 questions, and so with 3 rounds, there's gonna be 42 questions for each game. So there's 6 topics, and then in each round, two topics will be covered. So the idea is that all 6 topics will be covered by the end of the game. Before a round begins, the judges do have to announce 2 categories that round will be about, so the teams can have a chance to adjust their teams or to adjust the members that they would like to play that round. And in the finals, there's also 3 rounds, with also a total of 42 questions. However, it's a little bit different. So the first 2 rounds are pretty similar to the first 2 rounds of the previous games, except there will be like less questions. And the third round is going to be where the bulk of the questions are. And the third round of the finals is going to be a Jeopardy styled round. So it's basically going to be Jeopardy with all 6 topics and like 30 questions. So this is a flow chart for the preliminary, quarterfinal, and semifinal procedures. So these aren't all the points or all the rules. I definitely think you should go to the rule book and look at all like the minor details as well. but this is like the gist and the summary, and the main points that you should take away for these games or rounds. So um, for round one, when the person who's reading the question, they have to say done after they've completed reading the question in order for competitors to buzz in. So if a judge reads a question and they don't say done and the competitor buzzes in before that, that team is no longer eligible to answer that question. They have to wait for the judges to say done after reading the question, and then the teams can buzz in. Um, After a team has correctly buzzed in, so after the judge has read the question, said done, and then the first team to buzz in, they have 10 seconds to start answering the question and 30 seconds to finish their answer. Um, and it's not 30 additional seconds, I don't believe. It's 30 seconds in total, but they have to at least start giving their answer in the first 10 seconds and then finish their answer within 30 seconds. In the first round, there's no penalties for wrong answers. So if you buzz in after the judge says done and you just give an incorrect answer, there's no loss. Um, Questions can be repeated once following an incorrect answer. So um, if Team A answers the question incorrectly, the second team has an opportunity to answer. And if they also answer incorrectly, then nobody gets any points or loses any points, and the judges will just read the correct answer and move on to the next question. Rounds two and three, those are the same rules as round one, except there are a few key differences. Um, so there's no done rule in rounds two and three. So if a team feels like they know what question the judge is going to ask, they can just buzz in and answer. However, if they don't wait for the judge to complete the question or say done, they have to say their entire answer within 10 seconds. There's no 30 seconds. They have to say it all within 10 seconds. However, if they do finish, if they do wait for the judge to complete their question, then they have the normal 30 seconds to finish their answer and 10 seconds to start. A huge thing in the second and third rounds is that there is a penalty for incorrect answers. So whatever the value of that question was, um, they will lose that value if they will lose those amount of points as well if they give the incorrect answer. And here's a point summary for the preliminary, quarterfinal, and semifinal games. Um, so in rounds one, two, and three, I think I forgot to mention earlier, but before you state the question, you should say how much that question is worth in points. And once a team, once if a team gets an answer, if the team gives an incorrect answer, and the second team wants to answer, if they get it right, they can only be awarded half the initial value of the question. Um, in round one, there's no penalty for incorrect answer. In rounds two and three, there are penalties for incorrect answers. And so the finals procedures, um, they're different from the initial games earlier in the tournament. Rounds one and two are actually pretty similar to rounds one and two in the earlier games. Um, there are a few minor differences, like in rounds one and two, I believe there's only a total of 12 questions in both rounds because the bulk of the questions are going to be in round three. But aside from that, I don't think there's any differences, but you should definitely check out the rule book just to make sure. Um, so round three is where the major differences start. So round three is Jeopardy styled, and so the way that works is so the team with I believe the team with the highest score, they get to pick the first category and first question. And so then the judge, after a category in question is picked, so if someone says Islam for example, Islam for 500, the judge then clicks on that question, and then they read the question. And then just like normal Jeopardy, the judge has to finish reading the question before any of the teams can buzz in. So any team can buzz in to answer any question, but the question has to be completed before they can buzz in. There's no done rule per se, but I think they didn't write that in the rule book because in Jeopardy you can see the question on the board, so there's no need to say done, but you can't buzz in before the judge finishes reading the question. Um, there is a penalty for an incorrect answer, just like normal Jeopardy. For example, if someone said Islam for 500 and then got that question wrong, they would lose 500 points, just like in real Jeopardy. Um, Following an incorrect answer or incorrect response, the floor will be open immediately. The floor will be open for answers immediately after the judge says incorrect. And the last team to answer a question correctly will choose the next question. If no team is able to answer the question after 10 seconds, the same team will be able to choose another question. And this is a final point summary. So rounds 1 and 2. Um, so in round 1, the value of each question is 100 points. And if there's a second attempt at a question by another team, it's half the initial value, so it'd be 50 points, and there is no penalty. In round 2, each question is worth 200 points, and if there's a second attempt, it'll be worth 100 points, and there is a penalty for an incorrect answer. Round 3 is Jeopardy styled, and I covered that already. There are penalties, and second attempted questions are given half the initial point value. And then, so for the buzzer system this year, we don't have like physical buzzers. We're going to be using BuzzIn.live. Um, it's pretty straight. It's not that hard to use. We've used it before, but I'll make a separate video explaining how to use that because it is important because it's kind of like a buzzer and a timer in one. So it's important to learn how to use that properly so there's no like mishaps during the game or anything like that. Um, each team, because we're using Buzzin.live, should have a smartphone that allows them to buzz in. I don't think this will be an issue, but if there is one, I'm sure Mist will provide a laptop or a smartphone that a team can use while they're competing. And judges should have at least 2 laptops. So basically, well, you definitely need at least one laptop. So you need that one laptop to monitor the Buzzin.live. So one laptop is going to be used to look at the time and the score on this website, and then the second laptop is for the judge who reads the questions, which I guess you technically don't need a laptop. We can just print out the paper, but it will be easier if you bring in a laptop. So, for audience guidelines, um, parents, coaches, and other supporters are welcome to attend Miss Bowl. Um, but because of the nature of Miss Bowl, it's a little different from other competitions in the sense that Miss Bowl um, it does um, it does require competitors to focus more, and so an audience will have to be more mindful of that than they would maybe in other competitions like improv, for example. So some of the guidelines that audience members should follow is that they should arrive on time or a little early. If you arrive late or like when the competition has already started, you cannot be allowed entry into the room. And once you're inside the room, you cannot leave the room until I don't know if it's the round or the game is over, but basically you shouldn't leave the room. You're supposed to remain seated during the competition, so like no walking around during the competition. Sit quietly and attentively. Don't speak to the competitors during rounds. Please, audience members are told to please hold comments and questions until a judge announces the conclusion of a round. Not permitted to talk or whisper during the competitions. If organizers, so if you guys suspect an audience member is communicating answers or clues to competitors, they will be asked to leave the room. Um, and Audience members can't whistle, yell, or loudly congratulate teams on their performance. They should turn off their cell phones and other electronic devices, and they shouldn't be taking photographs or videos during the competition. Um, if there's any audience members causing problems, you'll have volunteers who will be able to help you out and maybe help remind them of the guidelines, or if hopefully not, but if they need to leave the room, hopefully the volunteers will be able to do that for you, inshallah. And so what's next? Well, this is an old PowerPoint, so you guys have already joined the WhatsApp group. Um, I believe if everybody could just confirm which days they're available for Mist, that'll be great because later I'm going to send out like the specific rounds and like rooms that each judge will be assigned to. So I just need to know like who will be there a certain day and like what times they'll be available. So if you can do that, that'll be really helpful. And then so look out for updates. So for the weekend schedule, I think Miss has already announced that on their Instagram, but I'll put that in the WhatsApp group as well. And like I mentioned before, I'm gonna release judge assignments closer to Saturday, and then the scorekeeping flowchart and diagram. I have that in the PowerPoint, but I know in the PowerPoint it's probably a little bit small to read, so I'm gonna send that separately, and you guys can like use that as a reference during the competition as well.